Hi there everyone. This is a build guide video for the AOS 3.5 V5. This frame is incredibly easy to build, but it never hurts to have a few tips and tricks to help along the way. Let's not waste any more time, let's dive right into it. Alright, so we're going to start with the camera cage. Both of the aluminium parts of the camera cage are identical, so there's no left or right side. Put them down on your bench back to back like this, and then you're going to want to place the plates that we're going to use to install the camera into the cage. If you're soft mounting your camera, you're going to want to use these two plates like this, and you're going to want to secure them in place with M2 by 4mm countersunk screws. If, however, you want to hard mount your camera, you're going to add two additional plates. So you're going to add these plates on top of the standard plates, and then you're going to secure them with an M2 by 6mm countersunk screw. And you might want to have these plates this way around, or you might want to have the double slot forward and the single slot backwards. Depends on the layout of your camera mounting holes, but you can place these plates in either way around. Just make sure that they are the same on both sides. I'm going to be installing this for the O3 camera, so I'm going to install just the soft mount plates now. Even though these camera cages are 7000 series aluminium, it's still possible to strip the screws. So you can see that I'm holding the screwdriver by the shaft here so that it doesn't have any risk of stripping out the thread. And once the camera cage is assembled, if you want to, you can install the gummies. These are the silicone gummies on top like this. Or if you prefer, you can 3D print your own gummies, and there are STL files on aoslc.com for that. Now that we've built up the camera cage, let's have a look at the frame. This is the main plate of the frame. You can see that it's got 6 press nuts. You want those press nuts facing upwards, and then we're going to turn the plate upside down and place it so that all of the press nuts are facing downwards onto the bench. Then we're going to want to take our 4 arms and place them on top of the plate like this. Again, all the 4 arms are identical, so there's no left or right or front or back. They're all exactly the same. And then the final piece is going to be the bottom brace plate. You're going to want to make sure the countersink for the screws is facing upwards, and then just pop that on top there like that. You're then going to want to take your long countersunk screws, the longest ones in the kit, and carefully insert them down through the brace plate, through the arm, and then just thread them gently, finger tight, into the press nut in the bottom plate there. Don't need to screw them all the way in, just thread them in until they go into the press nut. And once you've got those 4 screws in, you're going to take the medium length countersunk screws, these sort of medium length ones, and they go in the middle positions, making sure that they go through both arms and then into the bottom plate. Again, you can just thread them in by hand once you have felt the thread pick up. Now that all of these screws have been threaded, this package can't come apart, so we'll just screw them all together with our driver. You want to do these screws up reasonably tight, but you do not want to strip the threads in the press nut, so just hold the screwdriver with 2 fingers when you're doing the final tighten, and then you won't risk stripping the threads. Once that's all done up tightly, you can turn the frame back over, and you could actually install all your electronics now and all the motors and everything with the frame in this configuration. You can of course access all of the stack screw holes here, so you can put your screws in for your electronic stacks. You don't have to disassemble the frame ever again. And we're not going to do that. We're going to move on and assemble our standoffs now, but you might decide that you want to build your electronics at this point. Now we're going to assemble our standoffs into this frame. So we're going to take our 6mm button head screw, thread it through the hole. Now, depending on who manufactures your 3.5, you might have a press nut here, or you might have a little washer like this, which you can pop over the screw. And then you're going to just thread on a 20mm standoff. And we're going to repeat on the other side. So 6mm screw, little washer. The washer's there just to make up the height difference between the press nut and the plate. And then we'll thread on a 20mm M2 standoff like that. You can also thread standoffs onto the long countersunk screws that go through the arms. Now that all of the standoffs are in place, the last step is to install the camera cage. So we're going to make sure that our camera plates and our silicone gummy is facing inwards like this. So that will go like that. And then the other plate, again, it's going to face inwards. So it goes there. And we're going to attach those plates using 4 M2 by 6mm screws. And then all that remains is the brace at the top. So that's a 23mm standoff. And you're going to attach that using the long M2 button head screws. So those ones just thread through the camera cage. And that's the frame completely assembled. Obviously, once you've built out all your electronics and everything, all that remains is to close the frame up. And it's super easy to do. Just pop the top plate on like that, making sure that the press nuts are underneath the top plate, because you might want to screw your GoPro mount down into those press nuts. And then we just add the 6 countersunk screws on the top and 2 button head screws, and they're going to be the shorter ones in the kit. And there we have it, the finished frame.